जय गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी यमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी राधा माधवा जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन Gopichanavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devam sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet nastaprayeshu patreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtiki tada rajastamo bhava kamalobhadayaschaye chetayetayanavidam stitam sattvam prasidati evam prasana manaso bhagavat bhakti yogata Bhagavat Tattva Vikyanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate Vidyate Hridayakantas Chityante Savasamsaya Kshiyante Chasya Kamani Drishta Evatmanishvare. We are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter number 3, 31, text number 4. Tam agatam ta uttaya Pranipatya binantya cha Pujayitva yatha desham Sukhasinam apathapuvan Tam agatam ta uttaya Pranipatya cha Pujayitva yatha desham Sukhasinamata puvan Tam agatam ta uttaya Pranipatya vinandya cha Pujayitva yatha desham Sukhasinamata puvan Tam agatam ta uttaya Pranipatya vinandya cha Pujayitva yatha desham Sukhasinamata puvan. Mataji. Tam agatam ta uttaya Pranipatya vinandya cha Pujayitva yatha desham Sukhasinamata puvan. Tam agatam ta uttaya Pranipatya vinandya cha Pujayitva yatha desham Sukhasinamata puvan. Tam, to him, agatam, appeared, te, all the prajetas, uttaya, after getting up, pranipatya, offering obeisances, abhinandya, offering welcome, cha, also, pujayitva, worshipping, yatha desham, according to regulative principles, sukha asinam, comfortably situated, atha, thus, apruvan, they said. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. As soon as the Prajetas saw that the great sage Narad had appeared, they immediately got up even from their asanas. As required, they immediately offered obeisances and worshipped him. And when they saw that Narad Muni was properly seated, they began to ask him questions. Purport. It is significant that all the Prajetas were engaged in practicing yoga to concentrate their minds on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a very short purport. Should we read the next also? Or? Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manopestam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sakajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Satvetam Savadutam Parajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivashakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Piye Vancha kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhu paevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tam agatam ta uttaya pranipadya pinandya cha pujayitva yatha desham sukha sinamata bhuvan. As soon as the Prajetas saw that the great sage Narad had appeared, they immediately got up even from their asanas. As required, they immediately offered obeisances and worshipped him. And when they saw that Narad Muni was properly seated, they began to ask him questions. So Maharaj doesn't give the class today, so Damoda asked me to say a little bit, and with your blessings maybe it will be successful. I actually didn't want, because for the last 2 days I didn't sleep, but then yesterday Maharaj, it was very inspiring what he said, and that one statement he said, the name of the game is surrender. So when we surrender, then we get blessings. So I thought maybe I should try to do that. So here in this shloka it said tam agatam ta uttaya. That tam agatam means that Narad Muni appeared suddenly. We know that Narad Muni, he suddenly appears in many situations. You don't know where he's coming from, and suddenly he's there. And ta uttaya, te uttaya means the Prachetas, they immediately got up. They were seated in asanas, but immediately they got up. And pranipati, they offered obeisances, respectful obeisances to Narad Muni. And pujayitva, they worshipped him yatadesham, according to the regulative principles. And only after Narad Muni began to sit down, he was comfortably seated, then Abrovan, they began to speak to Narad Muni. So this is the Vedic culture, that how we should offer respect to the guest who is coming. It is said that Grihe Shatru Praptam, that Vishvata Agutobayam, even Grihe Shatrum Praptam, even when in our home the enemy comes, Vishvatam Agutobayam, we should receive him in such a way that he will forget that he is our enemy. Agutobayam, he should be without any fear. Like Prabhupada, he many times mentioned that during the war in Mahabharata, they were fighting like anything during the day, but then in the nighttime they were coming together in the tent and they were enjoying together. There was no enmity. They were very friendly towards each other. Similarly, Prabhupada explained in one lecture that Bhishma, he actually made 5 arrows to kill the Pandavas, some special arrows, and he gave it to Duryodhana to keep them away. And the next day, when he wanted to actually use these arrows, Krishna already knew what was going on. So he said to Yudhishthira, you go and ask for these arrows. So in the nighttime in the tent, Yudhishthira went to the tent of the Kauravas, and then he asked for these arrows. And Duryodhana, without any enmity or any envy, he immediately gave those arrows. So this was the situation. During the day, they were fighting like anything, but in the evening, they were behaving like friends. So this is the Vedic etiquette, that the guest, Atiti Devo Bhava, he should be offered all respect, like he's a god actually. And in this way, we get many blessings. When it is also said, if we don't respect the guest like the god, then in the Bhagavatam it is said, our house is just like the hole of a snake actually. And we don't have any good fortune. Like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, also in the first canto, it was Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was sad, and then he was asked what happened, and also it was asked that if he hurt anyone or he didn't receive anyone properly. Because if we don't receive anyone properly, that will contaminate our mind, that will put us down. So in the Vedic society, there is a great emphasis on welcoming the guests and respecting them actually. So this is the point here of this verse. When the Prachetas saw that Narad Muni came, immediately they worshipped him, they offered him obeisances, and they did everything to please Narad Muni. And only then they were asking questions. And here the purport is very short. I don't know how long I can speak on this small purport, but it is a purport. Sometimes here it is said, it is significant that all the prajetas were engaged in practicing yoga to concentrate their mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is actually, if we observe this purport, doesn't belong to this verse. Sometimes Prabhupada does this. He doesn't give immediately the purport to the verse, but he takes the next shloka and he puts some explanation to the previous shloka, because in the previous shloka it was explained that Tanirjita Brana Mano Vachotrisho, that the prachetas Nirjita Brana Mano Vachotrisho, they were practicing this yoga. They were practicing yoga, Nirjita. They were conquering the prana. There are different life airs in the body. They were conquering them. And then they were conquering the mind, the vacha, the speech, and also the vision. Chitta asana, they were conquering the seed, shanta samana vigraha. In this way, they were completely focusing on the Supreme Lord. Pare male brahmani yojitatmana. It is said in the shloka that amale means saptami vibhakti. There are 7 cases in Sanskrit, and the 7th case is locative. So amale means they were situated in uncontamination or in a purified state. Pare means again saptami vibhakti. It means they were in a state which is transcendental to this material world. And in this situation, they completely focused their mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this was their practice actually. So I don't know how, because the purport is very short. Should we also speak on the next verse or not?
I don't know if they have already made the schedule.
Okay, yeah, then. No, then we leave it, yeah. So the point here is that the Narad Muni, he's a very special personality, and we can just maybe not go to the next shloka, but it will be explained that he's just like the sun, and wherever he goes, the darkness will be dissipated. We know that this Maya world is actually, it's also a very beautiful world because it is created by the Supreme Lord. Whatever Krishna creates is actually very beautiful, because whatever God creates must be beautiful because he's the perfect artist. Like I joined Krishna consciousness in New Zealand and I was traveling there, the places where Lord of the Rings was, it's very beautiful, the nature. And just by traveling there, I became convinced that God exists because it cannot be by chance that something so beautiful has been created, There must be someone behind all this. So this Maya world is very, very beautiful. And sometimes it becomes so attractive for us that we want to remain here, We don't want to leave, especially if we don't have any disease or we are comfortably situated. But always in this Maya world, there are always 2 elements are there. Dukhalayam ashashvatam. There is always dukkha, there is suffering involved. Even if everything is nice, still something will be there which creates suffering for us. If you have sweet rice and I put some sand in the sweet rice, can you enjoy the sweet rice? What do you think? Yes, you can, because the sweetness of the sweet rice is there. You can enjoy. But the moment you bite the sweet rice, it will crack in your teeth and you will suffer. So the moment you try to enjoy Maya, that moment you will suffer like anything. Because the Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika, these 3 kleshas are there. And they are constantly putting us into suffering. But due to the energy of Maya, we are convinced that in the future we will become happy. But it never happens because these 3 kleshas, they always put us in a suffering condition. So therefore, even though this world is very beautiful, still dukhalayam ashashvatam, there is suffering involved in this material world. And ashashvatam, even if everything is nice and we are maybe very rich, our body is very healthy, we can enjoy. But ashashvatam, this world will come to an end. We cannot remain here forever. It is coming to an end. Just like Narad Muni, he goes and he distributes this Krishna consciousness. And similarly, there was also one king And he was in a similar way, just like we see here, the Prachetas, they were receiving the Narad Muni very gracefully. So in a similar way, there was previously a king, and he was receiving also one sadhu who was coming there very nicely. And he was offering worship to the sadhu, and he was doing many things for the sadhu. And the sadhu was very pleased, and he wanted to actually give blessings to this king, you know. But the problem was the king was not at all interested in spiritual life. You know, he was only interested in his material affairs. So, you know, it is said that, what is that shloka? Shrotavedini rajendra nirnam santi sahasrasha apashyata matadvam griheshu grihamedinam. That the people of this world, apashyatam atmatadvam, their atmatatvam, the knowledge or the science of the soul, apashyatam, they are blind. They don't know what is the importance of this knowledge of the soul. So this king also, he was not interested, you know, in the spiritual affairs. But the sadhu, he wanted to help the king. Just like Narad Muni, he goes everywhere and he distributes this Krishna consciousness to everyone. So then the sadhu, you know, it's a long story. I don't know if we can make it, but I like the story actually. And then the sadhu, he was thinking, how can I help this king? And finally he came up with an idea. He said, you know, you find, he said, I'm very much pleased with all your seva, you know, because the king received the sadhu very pleasurable, very nicely. And then he said, but if you can do one more thing for me, then it will be very nice, you know. And then the king said, yes, what can I do for you? And then the sadhu said, you find the most foolish person in the entire kingdom. You give him a stick and you let him walk around the kingdom every day for the rest of his life. So then the king was thinking, what kind of strange idea this is, you know, to find someone who's foolish and he will walk around the kingdom with a stick. But because he had so much faith in the sadhu, he said, okay. So then he was sending his soldiers to find the most foolish person in the entire kingdom. And they were walking and searching everywhere to find Mahamukha, the greatest fool in the entire kingdom. And they came up on a person who was sitting on a tree, and he was sitting outside on the branch of the tree. You know, the branch was there and he was sitting outside and he was cutting inside with the saw, you know. And then the soldier said, if you continue cutting, you will fall down. And then he said, no, I will not fall down, you leave me alone, you know. And then the soldiers continued walking. And after 1 hour, they came back, and this person was lying on the floor and like very much in pain. And then the soldiers, they looked at him, and he looked at the soldiers. And then he said, you must be a great astrologist that you could predict the future. And then the soldiers said, now we found Mahamukha, you know, the most foolish person. So they took Mahamukha and they took him to the king. The king, according to the instructions, gave him the stick, and Mahamukha started to walk around the kingdom for the rest of his life. The time passed, the king became old. Slowly his hair became grey, his teeth fell out, he became old, you know, wrinkles came on his face. And it was suddenly the time of his death. He was lying on his deathbed, and he was calling all his family members to say goodbye. And at that moment he was remembering that Mahamukha is still walking around the kingdom with a stick. And he said, call Mahamukha, and Mahamukha came. And Mahamukha, he said in a very foolish way, King, where are you going? And the king said, I do not know where I'm going actually. I never thought about this. And then they said, and King, what about all your wives? Can you take them with you? And then the king said, no, I cannot take any of my wives with me. And then they said, what about all your opulences? You have accumulated so many things in this world. Can you take them with you? And the king said, no, I'm not able to take even a penny with me. And then Mahamukha said, but king, on the way, it will be a very long journey. You will be very hungry. So let me prepare some prasadam, you know. And then the king, I cannot even take a morsel of food with me. So then after these questions, the king was becoming a little bit angry with these stupid questions. And he said to Mahamukha, that, okay, I'm very much, I don't like these questions, but I'm very much satisfied with your seva, you know. So now you only do one thing. You find someone who's more foolish than you give him the stick, and I will send you in pension, you know. You get free money for the rest of your life. So then Mahamukha, without thinking a second, he took the stick and he gave it to the king. And the king became very angry. He said, do you want to say I'm more foolish than you? And Mahamukha said, of course. Because all your life you have accumulated so many things in this world. You have done so many things, but now you're telling me you cannot take even a penny with you. So I think you must be the most foolish person because you have wasted your entire life. So then the king, suddenly he realized, you know, that, and some tears came because he realized his life was wasted. He never was worshipping Krishna. He wasted his whole life in the pursuit of material advancement, in the pursuit of a material career. He never worshipped Krishna. So then tears came from his eyes and he fell down at the Mahamukha and he asked him what he could do. And then Mahamukha told him that at the last moment of life, the best thing will be if you worship Govinda by the names of God. So this Mahamukha actually was no one else than the disciple of the sadhu, you know. The sadhu who previously came to the king and wanted to help the king, and the king was not interested. That sadhu actually had a student, and that student was playing the role of Mahamukha. So by the mercy of the sadhu, the king was getting liberated. So in a similar way, Narad Muni is like this. Wherever he goes, he liberates people. He is a very powerful personality, empowered with Bhakti Shakti, and he distributes this Bhakti. So these people in this world, they are suffering because Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. There's temporariness in this world, and the three kleshas are there. And this is due to the Maya. And people in this world, they try many things to overcome these problems, you know. Like there was a story with the Patel family. It's a funny story. They were trying to beat the darkness, you know. They wanted to beat the darkness, you know. And they made a house, and they made the windows like the windows of an airplane, you know, very small, because they were thinking that the darkness cannot come inside the house when the windows are very small. So then they were building this house, and at night they were waiting, and the darkness came, and the house was dark. So then they took some sticks and they tried to beat the darkness, you know. And in the morning they were all lying there and had some bruises, you know, and were hurt because they were hitting each other. They didn't see where they were hitting. So in a similar way, we try to beat this Maya. We try to overcome the problems of this world. But without Krishna consciousness, it will never be successful. It will be just like this Patel family who is hitting with sticks in the darkness. They will hit only each other, you know. So this is why these sadhus, they are very, very important in this material world. Therefore it is said wonderfully by the gopis that tapta tavakatam ratam tapta jivanam Kavibeditam kalmashapaham Shavanamangalam Srimat Atatam Bhuvikananti ye bodhitajana. In this shloka it is said, Tapta Jivanam, the living entities, Tapta, they are suffering from the three kleshas. Tavakatamritam, this kata amritam, this kata, this Krishna kata, is like amritam. It gives immortality to the soul. Whoever hears this Krishna Katha becomes free from the problems of life. That is the power. Shrinvatam, das Viryam, it has so much potency that we simply have to listen to this Krishna Katha and it will take away all our problems. And so, Buridajana, the sadhus who are walking all this planet, they are Burida, they are the greatest well-wishers of human society because they are distributing this Krishna consciousness by distributing it to Krishna Katha. So the people of this world, Shoka Moha Bhayapaha, they suffer always from lamentation, illusion and fearfulness. And this Krishna Katha is like the sun. You know, when the sun comes up, immediately the darkness goes away, you know. like at night we have sometimes fearfulness. If we go to the forest, we are in a fearful situation, you know. But when the sun comes, the darkness is dissipated, and we get the fearfulness also goes away. So in a similar way, when we Krishna Surya Sama, this Krishna is like the sun, and this Krishna Katha, these are the rays of the sun. You know, we can know that the sun exists by the sun's rays. So in a similar way, when we listen to the glory of God, that is like the rays of the Krishna sun, which touches the soul and gives the soul, wakes up the soul from the sleeping lap of Maya. You know, there was another story with an eagle. This was a story in the previous Satya Yuga, and there was an eagle, and he was flying. You know, and there was a Brahmana, and he was urinating, and afterwards he was not washing his hand. You know, he was urinating and not washing. And the eagle, you know, that time in Satya Yuga, he was also very elevated, you know, it's a story. So when he saw that the Brahmana was not washing his hand, because this eagle was pregnant, and in that shock, he lost his egg, you know. So the egg fell down, and it fell down, and there was, like a chicken house. And the chicken house, there was a lot of straw, you know, and the egg fell exactly on the straw, and nothing happened. And in the chicken house, there was an old chicken, and that she never had a child, and her whole life she was always praying to Bhagavan that someday he will send a child, you know. And that day she was thinking Bhagavan has sent a child from the sky, you know. So she was taking care of this chicken, and slowly the egg was going out and the chicken was coming out, and immediately it looked different from all the chicken, you know, because it was like an eagle. And the mother didn't care, because she was so happy, and with love she raised this eagle, you know, like a chicken. And the eagle started to jump like a chicken, make a sound like the chicken. And in this way the life passed of the eagle, and he behaved completely like a chicken. He didn't know that he's an eagle actually. So after many years, then this same Brahmana came, and he saw this eagle behaving like a chicken, you know. And then he actually said to the eagle that you are not a chicken, you are the king of the birds, an eagle. And the eagle, he said, no, my whole life I lived here with this chicken, I'm also one of them. So then the Brahmana, he tried with logic and argument to convince this eagle that he was an eagle, but it was not possible, you know. It was not possible. He was so convinced, because his whole life he was raised with these beliefs, you know. He couldn't understand that inside what glory he had. So then the Brahmana, he was thinking all day, and then the next morning he took him to a cliff, you know, a cliff, and he pushed the eagle down from the cliff, and the eagle, just like a chicken, fell from the cliff. And you know, the chicken, when they fall, somehow they survive, you know. They cannot fly, but somehow they survived. So the chicken somehow survived. And the Brahmana was thinking, oh my God, what can I do? Because he was thinking, if he fall from the cliff, out of fear he will start to fly, you know. But he didn't fly. And then the whole day he was meditating, what can I do? And finally the next morning he had an idea, you know. And he took that eagle again to the cliff, and in the morning what happened was the sun was coming up, and when the sadhu turned the face of the eagle to the sun, and when the eagle saw the sun, suddenly he realized that he's an eagle, and he started to fly away. So in a similar way, these sadhus, they give us Krishna Katha, this glories of Krishna. They speak about Krishna, and in that way we understand, we get self-realization, and even we come to the realization of God, because this Krishna Katha is so powerful that it removes all the darkness from our life and gives us this understanding that we are not actually only this body, but we are something more, and that is the soul, and the soul has an opportunity to come close to Krishna. So this is why Narad Muni is worshipped here in this verse by the Prachetas, because the Prachetas have the understanding that Narad Muni is such a personality. He is going all over the universe, and he, by Krishna Katha, by playing on his veena, the beautiful sound of the names of God, he is liberating all the living entities in this world. So that is actually what is only missing in human society, the sadhus, the association of sadhus. Like, we know that when yesterday Maharaj also in the car, he said, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said to Prabhupada that there is no need for independence of India. We have to speak Krishna Katha, because Krishna Katha is like the rays of the Krishna sun, and when the rays of the Krishna sun touch the soul wakes up from Maya. It comes to understanding that there is something more to this life than simply running for material career, for material success. But in this life, we have the opportunity to understand Krishna. It is said in the Shastra that Janma Safalata Krishna Darshanaya Bhage Hoy Ekaba, that Janma Safalata, this Janma, this life becomes Safal. Safal means it becomes Safal, it becomes fruitful, it becomes successful. Krishna Darshanaya, when we have the darshan of Krishna. Bhage Hoy Ekaba, only once when we have the darshan of Krishna, our life becomes successful. If we, for example, we have seen Michael Jackson, or we have seen Barack Obama, or any Bill Gates, or any personality in this world who is great, our life doesn't change much. We still have shoka, lamentation, fearfulness. Still we have the problems in our life. But when we have the darshan of Krishna, all our problems are removed. So that is what Narad Muni is giving to the living entities. He is walking around, and by distributing this Krishna Katha, he is giving the darshan to all the living entities. And the only thing for receiving this Krishna Katha is we have to open our heart, If our heart is closed, then it is not possible to receive it. There is a real story. There was a sadhu, and he was going in India to the bank, and he was asking a loan for $500,000. He wanted to open a temple, and he only had 10,000 US dollars. So then he was asking the bank manager for $500,000, and the bank manager said, "How is this possible? It's not possible." And then the sadhu said, "Can I tell you a joke?" He was saying to the bank manager, and the bank manager said, "Okay." And then the sadhu said, "If you want to do a heart transplantation, what kind of heart would you use? The heart of an artist, of a woman, or of a bank manager?" And then the bank manager didn't know. He said, "Please tell me." And then the sadhu said, "Of course the heart of a bank manager, because it has not been used." So then the bank manager, he understood, and he opened his heart, and he actually gave the money. This is a real story, I heard it. So in a similar way, when we open our heart fully to Krishna Katha, then the sound doesn't go in here and go out here, but it goes here and goes inside the heart, and it changes the heart, Then it can do something. Like it is said, when we go to the sannyasis or the sadhus, then there's a trick how we can hear. Because Maya, she will always put something in our mind that we are not able to hear. She doesn't want that we listen to this Krishna Katha. She will put something, "Oh, this sadhu has this defect, he doesn't know the Vedas, something." She will put some idea that we cannot properly listen to the sadhu, because this Maya has two energies. One is Avranatmika Shakti and one is Prakshepa Atmika Shakti. Prakshepa Atmika Shakti is the power of Maya which always distracts us. So she always distracts us from self-realization, always distracts us from listening properly to Krishna Katha. So one sadhu said, I think Gaur Govinda Swami, that to listen to Krishna Katha, we always should think, "I am the most foolish person in the entire room. I do not know anything. And even though the topic was already discussed millions of times, I do not know the topic, I'm hearing it for the first time." If we can hear in this mindset, then Krishna Katha can have more effect, This is the trick the sadhu was saying. Because if we if something is there which pulls, we want to, that is the nature, we always want to pull others down, we don't see them as, want to see them as higher. But when we want to listen to Krishna Katha and we think that I don't know anything, then Krishna becomes pleased and he gives us power. He removes the ignorance from our heart, you know. We do notice Surat Satam. Krishna sits in our heart. He is our Surat Satam, our best friend. And the moment we open our heart and we listen about Krishna, that moment he sees that we have the desire to listen about him, and he removes all the abhadrani, the impurities from our heart, and we get enlightened from inside. So this is how this technique, how this process of Krishna Katha works. When we become very humble, then we can receive this transcendental knowledge. This was also explained by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, Amanidvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshanti Arjavam. Krishna says, if you want to receive this transcendental knowledge, the first quality you have is Amanidvam. You must become very humble. Adambitvam, you must become very prideless. And then this Krishna Katha can flow. Uddhava, he also prays wonderfully in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Dashtam Janam Sampatitam Bilesman Kala Hinakshutra Sukorutasham Samuddarainam Kripaya Pavakyai Vachopya Sinchanahanubhava. He says this Krishna Katha is very powerful. It removes the darkness of ignorance. He says that Dashtam Janam Sampatitam Bilesman. He says, I am fallen in this well of Maya, in this hole of Maya. And Dashtam Janam, the serpent of time, Kala, has already put its poison in my body. You know, like if the snake bites us, the poison is in the body, and it's just a matter of time until we die if we don't get any medicine, you know. So in a similar way, this Uddhava, he says, Dashtam, this serpent of Maya, this Kala, has already put its poison, because Kala means the time will take our life away, of all of us. No one can stay here, you know. So Kala's poison is already inside our body. And Janam Sampatitam Bilesman Kalahinak Shutra Sukorutasham Sukha Urutasham. Still, he says, I still have so much desire to enjoy this world, you know. Even though I know I'm going to die, I still have so much desire. You know, there was a person, he was, this was like an action scene, and he was falling from the cliff, and with his last power, he was holding on to like, how do you say, a root, yeah. And he, you know, he was almost falling down. And downside, there was a tiger waiting for him, you know. And upside, he saw there was a mouse eating the root which he was holding, you know. So it was just a matter until he would fall, because the mouse was napping away the root, and downside was the tiger. And that moment, he saw there was like a honeybee upside. And the honeybee, some honey was dropping, you know. The honey was coming. And when he saw the honey, he forgot his situation, and he opened his mouth, and the honey was coming, and he was enjoying the honey, forgetting that he was going to die. So this is the position of Avaranatmika Shakti and Prakshepa Atmika Shakti. This power of Maya distracts us. It distracts us that we don't understand that our life is meant for self-realization, and we go into the enjoyment of this world, forgetting that our life can end at any moment. Kshanada Pandit says also, Sharira Kshanavitvam. See, that Sharira, this body, Kshanavitvam, can be destroyed in a moment. He says, just like you blink your eyes, this is enough time to die. This is the reality, actually. But because of Maya, we forget. You know, there was some deer, you know, some deer was there, and they were standing on the river, and they were drinking the water together, you know, one line of deer. And suddenly the crocodile came. And you know, crocodile, they have a big mouth. So in one snap, he took away one deer and went underwater. And you know, the left deer and the right deer, they was looking, and they saw, oh my God, our friend died, you know. And suddenly they become very philosophical. Life is very temporary. We have to do something about it, you know. They were thinking in this way that we also have to die. Maybe we should do something. And what is actually the purpose of life? They were thinking like this. And then the next moment, this Prakshepa Atmika Shakti was putting the idea that the water is very cool in their mind. And they again started to drink the water, enjoying the water, and forgetting about their friend again. So this is the nature of this world. We are surrounded by death, we are surrounded by all these problems, but because of Prakshepa Atmika Shakti, we are distracted from the purpose of life. We are always going for material advancement, even though we cannot stay here. So therefore, these sadhus like Narad Muni, they are worshipped by the prachetas. Pranipatya, they are offered obeisances, puja yitva. They are properly worshipped according to the regulations, because the prachetas, they know that Narad Muni is such a person who goes around the universe, who can wake up the sleeping souls from Maya. And that is actually what Srila Prabhupada also has done, you know. He came to the West with practically nothing. He spoke Krishna Katha, he chanted the holy name, and he woke up so many sleeping souls from Maya, and they became active in Krishna's service. You know, before Prabhupada, there were so many Bhagavad Gita, so many things were spoken from the Vedas, but there was not a single devotee of Krishna. But when Prabhupada came, because Prabhupada's words had potency, because they were connected to the parampara, they could wake up the sleeping souls of Maya. You know, when you have a mango and you just throw it down, the mango is spoiled. You cannot properly enjoy it. You know, if it falls down high from the tree, it is spoiled. But if on every branch there is a person sitting and the mango is carefully handed down, the last person on the ground can enjoy the unspoiled mango. So in a similar way, this parampara is the technique of Krishna, or the system of Krishna, which provides us or gives us the ability to receive this transcendental knowledge in an uncontaminated way. And this is called Amishra Jnana. Amishra Jnana means that knowledge which is Amishra. Amishra means not contaminated. Mishra Jnana means the knowledge which is contaminated by Rajagun and Tamagun. The knowledge of this world is Mishra Jnana. It cannot give us a real Ananda. It cannot give us immortality, because it is contaminated by Raja and Tamagun. But Prabhupada came and he gave us this transcendental literature, which is Amishra Jnana, uncontaminated knowledge. And this knowledge has the power to wake us up from Maya, to make us understand that this life is meant to realize God, actually. So I think we have to stop. Here is exactly 8:30. So this is the point that the prachetas, they were worshipping. They were receiving Narad Muni, because this is actually due to Narad Muni, because he is such a great personality. He goes all over the world. He delivers the persons from Maya, and therefore we should offer him all respects. In a similar way, that's why we also offer Srila Prabhupada all respects, because he came to the world, to this Western world, with practically nothing. But he dedicated his life until the last breath, you know. It's so amazing when you see Prabhupada on the deathbed and he still speaks Krishna Katha, you know. He is completely dedicated to this mission to help the sleeping souls to wake up from Maya. So we have to be eternally grateful and worship him. And the best way to worship him is actually if we make our lives perfect, and we also become capable of distributing this Krishna Katha to others. That is how we can properly repay our due, you know. It's not possible to repay our due to Prabhupada, because what he has done is unpayable. But we can do something for him, and that is we can preach this message of Krishna consciousness to others according to our situation. Even if we are grihasta, we can speak to our wife, our friends, our children. In this way, everyone has an opportunity to upadesha, to speak this message of Krishna. So this was the message today. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any comment or question. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for lecture.
Thank you.
I want to ask about, you told about Krishna Katha from sadhu, because it's possible to change our consciousness, our heart, and our life also. And Srimad Bhagavatam is described about professional readers. of Srimad Bhagavatam and Vedic scriptures. It's look like a snake touch the milk. Eat milk becomes poison. Yeah, and how we can choose who is professional reader and who is real sadhu? What is the symptoms of this person?
It is said in the Padma Purana that Athakalo Bhavishyanti Chatvara Sambradayana, that Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka, that in this Athakalo, Kalo means in this Kali Yuga, Athakalo Bhavishyanti Chatvara Sambradayana, there will be 4 lines, 4 paramparas. And if you want uncontaminated knowledge, or knowledge which is not spoiled, then you have to go to these 4 paramparas, to any one of them. Shri Brahma Rudra Sanaka, Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Brahma Madhava Sampradaya, and 4 Kumara Sampradaya. So if you connect to any of the paramparas, then you can be sure if the person is actually connected to the parampara, that you get the proper knowledge.
We can see even in this parampara we also have professional readers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give an...
It's depend of person.
But then they are not really connected to the parampara, you know, because connected to the parampara...
Yeah, what to do neophyte devotee if he reads this verse, what you described, and he say, oh, okay, all is sadhu, all is pure devotees, but he need to understand who is real sadhu. What is the symptoms?
Sadhava Sadhubhushana, this is explained by Kadama Muni, the symptoms. But your previous question, I think, was something else, that how we can know that this is not a professional, you know. And we know that in India, they do the Sapta Bhagavatam, they do 7 days of Bhagavatam and all these things. But if we go into the parampara, we will find that this is not the practice in the original paramparas. This is the practice of professional people, you know, they make a profession and they want to make money out of this. But if we go like in the proper parampara, like Prabhupada came from a proper parampara, then we can be sure that the knowledge will be intact, you know.
So that's why we must study our philosophy to understand what is wrong and what is right. Because, for example, Kirtanananda Maharaj, he also is calling parampara.
You bring up many.
Yeah, but many devotees follow him because they are not understand what is wrong.
Yeah, because they don't have.
Yeah, but what is the symptoms?
Symptoms of a sadhu or symptoms of
symptoms of sadhu and symptoms of professional reader or asadu. Yeah, because we need to choose.
Yeah.
It's our duty.
I mean, this is a long talk. Yes, but
maybe a few points.
But generally, in the 3rd canto, Kadama Muni, he says that Titikshava Karunika Sadhava Sadhubhushana, and that the sadhu is very tolerant, Titikshava, and he has many ornaments like tolerance. Yes, I don't remember the slogan. Titikshava Karunika. Karunika, he is very merciful. These are some general symptoms. But of course, the most important of a sadhu is that Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam. If we want to attain knowledge from anyone and we want to be sure that that person is properly situated, the first symptom is Etan Vegan Yovisha Heta Dhira, that he must be Dhira, a sober person, and that he has control over all his Vegas, his urges. Because if we find someone speaking, you know, like your example, you said these people go and they speak professional Bhagavatam, you observe or you find these Prakriti Sahajyas, you know, they are behaving like they are on the transcendental state and they are talking about very elevated subject matters, but they are not, you know. And what is the symptom? The symptom is by this Vacho Vegam, we can understand this person is not elevated because after speaking his Krishna Katha or after speaking Bhagavatam or after speaking about the gopis, Prabhupada says he will light the cigar, he will light the bidi, you know, he will take the bidi and smoke. So that is, or he will have illicit connection, you know. So this is the symptom that if someone is a proper sadhu, he must be dhira. Dhira means he must understand or be sober-minded, about Maya, and not run after Maya. A sadhu is not captivated by Maya. When he is still under the influence of Maya, he cannot be someone who delivers orders. Like if my hands are bound, then I cannot go to someone else and unbind if he is also shackled, I have to be free. So in a similar way, this verse says, Etan vegan yo vishaheta dira. That means, vegan means all these 6 urges of the body. Vegan, this is plural, So etan vegan, all these 6 urges of the body. Vishaheta, someone who controls, tolerates. Dira, he becomes a sober person. Sarvam apimam britivim sasishyat. And this person who has control over his urges, sarvam pritivam, all the world, sasishyat, can become his disciples. So that I think this is the most important element, that the sadhu is control over the urges of the body. This one symptom, yeah. I don't know if that...
So we can see sadhu by...
But we cannot see sadhu. Gauravinda Swami said, sadhu can see you, but you cannot see the sadhu, because we are in Maya. How we can see someone very advanced? We will see, oh, he can sing very nicely, he can speak very nicely, but we never see the real quality of his bhakti, because we are also under the influence of Maya. There was a story about there was an, how do you say it, crow. There was a crow, and there was a swan, and the crow was the pet animal of all the animals in the village, and they liked the crow, and they always fed the crow, and the crow was always eating all the nice foodstuffs and was enjoying. But one day, and she was enjoying all the worship of the children, and one day the swan came, and suddenly all the attention of the children went to the swan, and the children became the crow became very envious. And then she started to make like tricks in the sky. She was flying and she making like loopings, and then she wanted to catch the attention of the children, and the children said, yes, our crow, it can do this and this trick, and then the swan, he was flying very how do you say, silently, gracefully, and he said to the crow very in a peaceful voice, Dhira, very sober, he said to the crow, let us fly over the ocean, little bit. And they were starting to fly the ocean. And after 1 or 2 miles, the crow started to become very tired, very tired. And it went down and up and down and up. And suddenly it crashed into the water. And it couldn't make it, Then the swan came, picked up the crow, took it back to the village. And the crow had to be rescued, they had to push out the water from the lungs. And the crow was rescued. And then this is the realization that there are some people like some so-called sadhus, and this is also in the Prayena Alpa Ayusaha Kalo Asmin Yugetana Manda Sumanda Matayo. In this Kali Yuga, we are bewildered by so many so-called sadhus, by false gurus. This is the nature of this age. They are like the crows. They make so many tricks. It looks very attractive, for the conditioned soul who don't understand. They think, oh, he can create gold. Like, there was a person, he can create gold. Prabhupada said, if you can create gold, why don't you, who is creating the gold mine, So they can maybe do some things which are very attractive for the conditioned soul. But that doesn't necessarily mean they know Krishna. That doesn't mean they are really self-realized. The swan may be not so showing so many tricks. The swan may be in the background, but the swan is very sober, So the real sadhu, they are sometimes in the back. You cannot see them. They don't put themselves forward because they don't have any ego to show themselves. They don't have to prove themselves, So this is the difference. The crows, they always want to get the attention. They make many tricks and they become, due to their previous karma, they have many charisma, and they can attract many people to them. And maybe the swan has not so much charisma, but he has dedication to Krishna. So that is the difference. And to see that is not so easy if you are under the influence of Maya. So therefore, Govinda Swami said that we are not able to see the real sadhus, and therefore we always have to pray in our heart that the sadhu will see us. That should be the mood, that the sadhu will see us And like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said, we should not try that Krishna will see us, but we should try that Krishna will see us, but we should try in such a way that Krishna wants to see us, you know. I don't know if yeah. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Krishna Prabhu ki jai.
You dressed today, huh?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Very nice color combination, blue and red.
Yeah. Asa Vilas Mimapel, this idea,
Very nice.
also Paramatma's idea.
Mataji dress code in Tamil.
Yes, yeah. Shall I send it to you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And you will stay for the Sangha in the
why I didn't register. But yeah, now they are doing only till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock finished.